Hey boos, in this video, I give commentary based on my opinion. Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
Cause I'm a boss. I haven't done anything for you to be proud of.
Of course you have. You are marrying a man who can support you.
Hello. So we are back for tonight's live. Earlier, I was on live and I did a video regarding a TikToker that was going viral on TikTok. And I decided to remove that content because I didn't want to, I made comments about her appearance. And even though I believe that a lot of these content creators and influencers, when they make drastic changes to their appearances, sometimes I feel like it's a money grab or it's like a money thing, very similar to how I feel about Alexis Sky, Brittany Renner, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't, like, I'm not taking back my opinion, but I also don't want to fuel the modest Black woman hate train. I feel like there's a modest Black woman hate train, and I consider myself to be modest. Now, I may not be as modest as my mother, who wanted me to be extremely modest, but I'm modest enough to where I really don't want to fuel or feed into that hate train. So I decided to put it on Patreon. If you're interested, that is where that video is. So that's just what I decided to do. Plus, I don't want to send this girl any more hate. And yeah, so it's on Patreon if you're interested. So let's go ahead and get into tonight's video. But before I get into tonight's video, a disclaimer. Women come online and they say things like, oh, I'm going to share my story to help women, right? And my issue with women who do this is, how are you helping women if you're not able to point out where you went wrong in the stories? Or you get offended when women are pointing out where you went wrong in the story. How are we supposed to learn if we can't even be made aware of the mistakes that you may have made, the stupid choices and decisions that you may have made? If you're really not ready to own your truth and your story and really be real about it, do not bring it to social media. And you're wanting to teach women, I call BS. And the reason is because you shouldn't be offended by women taking your story and calling out, different parts in your story that they could actually learn from. So let's keep all of that in mind. I'm not here to criticize this woman and tear this woman down. I'm simply here to share this story so that women can learn. And I will be pointing out different things that maybe she could have done differently to make women that may be in a similar situation aware so that they can make better choices. And that's what it's really about. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the story. And that's why Risa Teesa is so loved, because when she told her story, she was like, yeah, I don't know why I did that. I shouldn't have done that. I probably should have did this instead. That was probably one of the biggest mistakes when it comes to this whole situation. And she calls it out as she's telling the story. So I just need women to be real about it. You're not really coming online to help women. You're coming online seeking sympathy, when you don't have that expectation in place for women to be able to point out different parts in your story that they can truly learn from. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, let's get in. Thank you for the compliments. Let's get into this watch party. So this is a content creator on TikTok. She decided to upload a story time. I took down the videos to turn up the volume because it was really, really low and we couldn't really hear her. And she titled this story time, Who the F Did I Almost Marry? NFL Edition. So let's get into it.
Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL Edition. This is part one of what I think will be a 40-part series. This story is a story of covert sociopathic narcissism. This is super messy. This is Darvo gaslighting, emotional abuse, mental abuse, and severe financial abuse. This whole relationship was extremely traumatizing, and I'm finally ready to share my story in the hopes that I can help other people who are currently in this situation or have gone through it and are feeling stuck. I want to make it very clear that I am not out here looking for a defamation lawsuit. Everything I am about to say is true. It has receipts, screenshots, text messages. There is proof behind everything that I'm saying. Also, my least favorite saying in life is, oh, there's 3 parts to every story. There's his, hers, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle. And it's like, no, bitch. There's his side with all the lies and all the bullshit and deflecting, so he's not a rotten person. And then there's my side with the screenshots and all of the freaking proof. He has to be somewhat aware that this whole series is coming. We had a mediation during our custody battle of me trying to negotiate an NDA with him, and he was not interested. And he doesn't think that anybody would be interested in this story, so we will let TikTok decide. My NFL ex is Will Witherspoon. He went to University of Georgia, played football, obviously, then was drafted into the NFL by Carolina Panthers. He was at the Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson Super Bowl, which is kind of fitting with all this story. Then went on to play for, I think, the Rams, and then the Eagles, and then I think the Titans, and then back to the Rams. I think he was Rams MVP player one year. This is him. This is us together. He is known as a good guy in the league.
Ooh.
Just about everybody who has anything to say about him will say what a good guy he is.
And y'all know we don't believe in that over here. We don't believe in the good guy. We don't. We don't believe in the good guy. We don't believe in the good girl because it's manipulation. Okay? Good guy, good girl, manipulation. You're going to be a villain in someone's story when you are being authentic and doing what is best for you. You're not going to always be nice all the time because you may have to set boundaries and assert yourself in a certain type of way to ensure that you are receiving a certain level of treatment and respect. So when a man is considered a good guy, it's always a red flag for me because he could be a manipulator where he has painted himself to be this perfect guy and this perfect gentleman to the public.
And that's not the case at all. This is an example on his TED Talk of somebody that we went to high school with. I don't know who it is, but talking about what a good guy he is. Will and I actually met back in high school. I graduated in 97. He graduated in 98. Obviously, he played football. I was on dance team. And I think my senior year, we were like 7th best in the entire nation. So our football team was excellent. And almost everybody that we went to high school with that played football went on to play college ball. And obviously, he wasn't an exception to that. He went on to play at University of Georgia. Anyhow, we ended up divorced around the same time period. And around 2012-ish, he started hitting me up. And I'm not somebody who is impressed by fame or anything like that. And so
this woman was a previous married woman who divorced and she had kids with her husband from her previous marriage and relationship, and he sought her out. Okay. You know?
Slightly brushed him off, and we just were kind of friends, flirted a little bit, but nothing too serious. Here's a screenshot of one of these text messages. I've got the time date stamp up top.
She said, "Thank you. I am. It's been a good day. How about you?" "Yeah, a good day for sure. Just got back to my room." And then, then responded and said, "No, he was doing shady stuff and they broke up back in May. Sorry, wrong person." Okay. So I'm assuming he's in the white, she's in the blue. She accidentally texted him that, and then she said, "I'm so glad you had a great day." She responded.
So we ended up meeting in person sometime around summer of 2013, met up with a bunch of friends that we went to high school with and some of his crew. And he ended up coming to my place afterwards. And I remember messaging him and was like, look, I am not a hookup girl. I just don't want you expecting anything like that. And of course, we didn't do anything like that. We kissed, but nothing like that. We had our first date in April of 2014, and it was a great date. So the next day we went over to a mother figure's house of his. She was a teacher that we went to high school with. And she was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen him like this with anybody else. This includes his ex-wife. He was treating me really well, very attentive, very much a gentleman in every way, making sure I was taken care of. And I was absolutely impressed. He did reveal to me that he had cheated on his ex-wife, but the way that he explained it, he was humble, he accepted responsibility. And the way that he went about it, it made me feel, I guess, secure.
That's crazy. I already spoke about this, but I believe the reason why she overlooked this is because in her culture, cheating to me is seen differently than it is seen in Black culture. Cheating in Black culture is rolling stone, right? If he cheated on this woman, he's most likely going to cheat on you. Now, in her culture, where she comes from, cheating in their culture looks differently. First of all, the women get paid. The women are taken care of when they get dogged out and cheated on. When there's a mistress, he's like, hey, this isn't working for me anymore. I'm going to be moving on with this younger woman, but I'll pay for your lifestyle, or I'll pay in alimony, or whatever the case may be. So for us, it's always a red flag when we're entering a new relationship with a man and he's a Black man and he comes in and he's like, yeah, I cheated on my. It's always sketchy for us because if we get done wrong, we don't get nothing. We don't get no alimony, no nothing. So for us, it's an automatic no. But for her, I can see why she looked past it. Okay. And sometimes, and I'm not saying that in the white community, they condone cheating. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that the women are willing to take the risk simply because the men in the community, even when things don't work out, they will still take care of you. And I'm not saying in all cases, but I feel like it's more normal in their culture, because especially in the realm of when a man is more financially stable, they are willing to really take care of them if they were to move on and they got caught cheating and things like that. Not saying in all cases, but I just feel like it's more normal in their community versus our community. We don't really get much. We don't even get sympathy. We don't even get that.
That cheating is ever a good thing, but seeing that he was taking responsibility and owning his decisions and being regretful and remorseful, I saw this as a good sign. But unfortunately, this was a huge red flag that I missed. Stay tuned, because we're going to see this relationship really start to heat up in part 2. Through the Fact That I Almost Married, NFL edition, part 2. This is part 2 of an almost 40-part series, so if you haven't seen the first one, definitely go back and see it. So the relationship is going really, really well. He lives in St. Louis. I still live in Panama City, Florida, and we're going back and forth to see each other, and he's flying me in and out. This was a trip that I went to St. Louis, and you can see the timestamp up top. This was a trip that he came back down to Panama City for. Again, those timestamps up top. So in June, he tells me that he's going to France. He had apparently had an ex-girlfriend. They had booked this trip.
No, her previous marriage, which is why I made the comment that I made. Her previous marriage, which she didn't go into detail about it based off of the 3 parts I've already watched. But in her previous marriage, she was married to, I'm assuming, a white male because her children are white. And then her younger children are mixed. So that's why I made the comment that I made about, I could see why maybe she looked past that. Maybe because of her last marriage or her last relationship with a different race, So, well, her own race. So I think that may have been a reason why she overlooked it.
Trip to France together, and he was going to change his itinerary, and that way he wouldn't be able to see her at all. But he didn't want to not go because he'd lose all the money on the trip. And for me, I was like, okay, whatever, go, have fun, just keep in touch. So Will has a farm about an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of St. Louis. He has cattle, he has horses, and he's had some various other animals on the farm ever since. He does not live at this farm, although at that time there were 5 houses out at the farm. Now I think there might be 3 left.
I'm sorry, I don't believe in gold diggers. I'm sorry, I don't believe in gold diggers. Gold diggers is something that the patriarchy came up with. I don't believe in gold diggers. I don't. This is the wrong channel for that. I'm sorry. You better go talk to somebody that cares. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I don't believe in gold diggers.
I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, so he has this farm. There's a farm manager that runs it for him, and he's a little bit involved. So he has this huge 4th of July party every single year. And this party is massive. He has a live band. He has a bull riding machine. He has a massive private fireworks show. I hired this company out. So it's a really big deal. He purchased tickets for me and my 3 older kids to come to the 4th of July party in 2014. And my kids were stoked. This was the first time that they had been on an airplane ride. So this was a really big deal for them. This was my youngest at the time, and she was so excited. This was also
You see the babies? That's how I think the other husband was Caucasian. Listen, I said I don't take on the sprinkle lifestyle, but I didn't say that I don't take some of the stuff that she be put down. Remember? And based off of me trying to break free of the patriarchy, what is a gold digger? I don't know what that is. What do we call men who steal women's cat? Like lie to her, manipulate her out of her cat. What do we call? We need to come up with a name for men who do that. Because if men can come up with gold diggers, what are we coming up with when men steal a woman's cat and lie, led her on, used her? Come up with a name for that, and then maybe I'll entertain it. But I'm not entertaining that. I'm sorry, I'm not. Okay, let's continue.
the first time that my kids met his kids. And outside of my oldest daughter, our kids are in similar ages. So like when we first met, his oldest daughter was, I think, in 4th grade, then it went 3rd grade, 2nd grade, 1st grade, and then kindergarten. So they were just these stair steps, and they all got along great, and it was awesome. So usually something crazy happened at least once at these 4th of July parties. There's lots of moonshine. At this particular one, he had his dog Hendrix there, who was a South African Boerboel. And if you've never been around a Boerboel, they're very, very protective. They're guard dogs. I was not a fan of Hendrik. He would growl at me. He always gave me uneasy vibes. And anyhow, at this particular party, there was a girl there, and I should say woman, and she was kind of leaned down on a wall, and Hendrix bit her face, and she had to be rushed to the hospital, had to have emergency plastic surgery, and allegedly won a lawsuit against Will for $800,000 for that incident. And I'll go more into what happened to Hendrix later. There'll be an animal part to this, but absolutely insane. But the party had to continue. So we rallied the troops and got together. And
I'm sorry, but this is when she had me. I said, y'all did what? Now listen, coochie crooks, I like that. I like how you're thinking with that. I like that. That's very creative. But I was kind of shocked by this. I was like, dang, so a girl got attacked by a dog and then y'all just go back to partying and kicking it? That's crazy. Well, I mean, did the dog get locked up? I mean, what happened with the dog?
it ended up being the most fantastic time. This is Will at the party, that picture I took, and on the bull riding machine. So after the trip, get back home, and I get a friend request from somebody that I do not know who they are. And I click the name, and their cover picture on their Facebook profile is a picture of them kissing Will, my boyfriend. And so I'm like immediately like, accept friend request. So start scrolling through their profile, and it's vacation pictures, and they're in France, and they're together, and they're very much a couple. And I was just shocked and floored, to say the least. And I'm just floored. I'm upset. I'm hurt. I've been lied to. I've been betrayed. And so he and I, we've got some talking to do. Stay tuned, because it's about to get super messy. What did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 3. So we last left off in part 2, where I got a friend request and see all of these pictures of this France vacation where he clearly isn't by himself. He's with another girl. They had dated off and on. Apparently, he had cheated on her a lot. He's told me that she cheated on him. I have no clue, but very messy. Very.
Okay, now this the second time she done mentioned that cheating now. This the second time now. You know, he openly admitted that he cheated in his previous marriage. Then she finds out that he was on and off with this other woman that she didn't even know anything about and cheated on her. We just pointing that out now. Don't attack us now. Don't attack us. We saying this out of love, ladies. If you get 2 signs, sign 1, which it came out of the horse's mouth, okay? Sign 2 is you're learning about this other woman while he was trying to form this relationship, and then he involved your kids, because you got your kids on the plane and everything. Yeah, that's a mess. Yep. Nope.
Very adulterous relationship, whatever side it fell on. Allegedly, this is the girl that he had cheated on during his marriage. When he played for the Eagles, he had moved her from where she was living to Philadelphia and had an apartment with her. And that's how the ex-wife found out, because Power and stuff was on even after he'd been traded. Again, this is all allegedly, because these are things that have been told to me. Mere mention of this person to our mutual friends, his friends, and everybody around him immediately elicited horrible reactions. Everybody loved to trash talk this girl, and everyone had a horrible story about her. So here's some.
That's another red flag. And the reason why I say that's another red flag, okay, so he presents himself to be this perfect gentleman, this perfect guy, this nice guy. And then the woman he's been cheating on and basically dogging out, dog walking her, right? She's the crazy one. Interesting. I'm trying to find out, does anybody know if the woman he was married to, if she was a Black woman? I just wonder. I do want to know. I'm just nosy. I just want to know.
Screenshots of this time period, and these are messages that he screenshot of himself with her and had sent it to one of his friends, and she's relaying this to me, so you can pause to read. And here is another one.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Pause to read. That's how the ex-wife found out, because Power and stuff was on even after he'd been traded. Again, this is all allegedly, because these are things that have been told to me. Mere mention of this person to our mutual friends, his friends, and everybody around him immediately elicited horrible reactions. Everybody loved to trash talk this girl, and everyone had a horrible story about her. So here's some screenshots of this time period. And
she said, it's hard to believe any of that when you've acted in such unloving ways. In a healthy relationship, I probably wouldn't need so much reassurance, but this is not healthy. It's broken into a million pieces. And he said that, and I'm assuming he said that is. And then he said, trust me, I wanted to live a life without stress too. I would like to sleep at night every night. You are always and don't answer my calls or texts. I don't want to feel the anxiety I feel every single time you're texting with some woman. Okay, so this is coming from the ex-wife that was being trash talked about when it comes to his associates and his friends. So she's saying, I don't want to feel the anxiety I feel every single time you're texting with some woman I don't know, but you created that. And now I'm the one that just has to deal with it, ? Let it go and pretend it didn't happen because it's too much stress on you to deal with the questions, etc. That sound like, wait. Yeah, okay. Let's continue.
And these are messages that he screenshot of himself with her and had sent it to one of his friends, and she's relaying this to me, so you can pause to read. And here is another one. Pause to read.
Then she said, you don't have to do it the same as me, but at the end of the day, it's about whether or not you're going to meet my needs and vice versa. I've been so patient and understanding with you. I've given you a chance after chance after chance to get it right. And you have the nerve to sit here and tell me that I'm not giving you enough credit. Ooh, girl. Ooh, no, he didn't. And I asked to do one thing every other day, a compliment, read a book, a couple hours a week, talk about goals that could take an hour, stop talking and seeing people that could be instant. So you're telling me that in the last 3 weeks, that's a lot? Okay, I'm clear. Then she goes on to say, you can watch movies and play games on your iPad for literally hours a day, but you can't focus yourself enough to do a few things for me to reassure me. So basically, you know, this is like a typical situation where a man he's created a very highly insecure woman in his relationship due to his own actions. And I'm not saying that it's all of his responsibility, because she's choosing to stay in this relationship, but he plays a major hand in why she's asking for that extra reassurance, because he's cheated on her in the past. So she's relaying this conversation to her so that they can kind of all be on the same page, because they dealing with a liar. So they're trying to compare notes, cliff notes about what's true and what's not, because it seems like he's been playing her and the new girl, which is her.
So needless to say, everybody in his life made
And by the way, this woman's name is Tori. So her name is Tori. So she's considered to be the new woman at this point in the story.
her out to be the problem. At first, I was done with the situation. I don't do cheaters. I don't do this kind of thing. His friends were really rallying hard for me to come back and stay with him. Apparently, he was devastated that I had left. I don't know if he'd had like resistance in the past to people not tolerating this kind of behavior. I have no clue. But he rallied extremely hard to get me back and was utilizing the use of his friends to do so. And I decided to give him another chance. He had told me that this other girl was gone for good. And in my mind, which obviously hindsight is 2020, in my mind, I thought at the time that if she was gone and she was clearly the problem, that we should be smooth sailing from this point forward.
What?
Believe me, I'm well aware of how silly and stupid this all sounds now. I feel stupid even saying this out loud.
Ooh.
Slowly but surely, he was proving himself to me.
Now listen, she said she felt stupid. She said she feels stupid for even saying it out loud. All right, yeah. Because girl, you did what? You overlooked that part? Okay, but she said that she said she feels stupid saying it out loud. So we're gonna continue because So she had two signs, ladies. If you're learning, she had two signs where she overlooked him saying that he cheated on his last wife or his ex-wife or whatever the case. Then he finds out that he's been in this on and off relationship with his ex-wife and he cheated on her. And then she is reading the text thread where basically she's asking him to give her more reassurance because he's cheated on her in the past. And then she also is finding out that as they were starting to date and form a relationship, she finds out about how he had a continued relationship with her while starting this new relationship with Tori, which is her, the new girl. So, okay.
And I'm about to show a series of pictures that show how involved he had gotten with me, my life, my kids, and everything. This was the first time that I had seen him since the cheating episode, and he had flown down to visit me and my family during a timeshare in Fort Myers Beach, and it was his birthday, and so we had celebrated.
Now listen, the family was getting flued out, honey. The family was getting flued out. It looked like she had her extended family there. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, that looked like she had her extended family with her too. I gotta say it, y'all. I do. It's burning me inside. It's interesting how these men go out of the community and how much they're willing to do so much for women outside of the community. Because the Black Manosphere on YouTube, right? This is against their code, isn't it? This is against what they teach, right? Because first of all, she's a single mother. And I believe, based off of the comments I read, I could be wrong, around this time, she was 33 years old. And she was a single mom of, I don't know how many kids she has. I don't know how many, but I don't believe it was just one child. I don't believe it was one kid at that time. It looks like it may have been two. Okay. So it's incredible. And this is why gold digging, these men are willing to do whatever, when they really want you, you know what I mean? And he really wanted this woman. So it's like, if he was pulling out his wallet, it was two. If he was pulling out his wallet, who am I to call her a gold digger? He was trying to impress her, woo her. Who am I to call her a gold digger? I'm not calling her that. I'm sorry. Get somebody else. I'm not calling her that. He was happy to pull out his wallet for her kids. He was happy to pull out his wallet for her entire family and put them on a plane. He was happy to do all of that.
He had flown me back to St. Louis. Here we're at an Outcast concert. This was probably the best concert of my life. So much freaking fun.
Try to tell him.
On this trip, he had flown back to Panama City, and we had gone to a spa, had massages and all kinds of really cool stuff, and then had a dinner at the Red Bar. Here's us at an event. he had flown my oldest daughter and I up to St. Louis and then had driven down all of us, including his 3 older kids, in an RV where we spent spring break back in Panama City. Here's a look at this RV. He bought this RV just.
This sound like a man that was concerned about being used. He was pulling. I be trying to tell y'all, when men actually have it, they lead with their pockets. That's what they do. That's all they talk about. That's all they flex. They flex and try to impress you with money because they have it. Okay, some of y'all be focused on the men that ain't got it. So of course the men ain't got it. They can't lead and impress a woman with their wallet because they ain't got it. Hell, half of them don't even have a debit card. So them not the men you should listen to. When you really are in front of a man that got it, he is pulling out that wallet, and there's no hesitation, babes. There's no hesitation.
Just for this trip. And so when I'm talking big gestures and doing just amazing things, I guess looking back, this all could be considered love bombing. But I felt at the time was, showing me how much he cared and how much he was wanting to do for me and my children. This is also from that trip. And so is this one. And yet another trip. This is our bunny Max. We had 2 bunnies at the time, Max and Gus, and they were really cute. So obviously at this point, our relationship is getting much more serious, and we're starting to discuss future baby plans, those kinds of things. Again, he had 3 kids. I had 3 kids. It's kind of like a modern day Brady Bunch.
Okay.
So around April 20.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me clear that up. So they have 3 kids each. So this was a woman that was a single mother who had 3 kids from her previous marriage. I will give her that marriage. And he sought her out. Like, he was really trying to impress her. So that's what I be saying. Like, I be trying to tell the girls, if that man ain't trying to pay, it's for 2 reasons. He don't got it. Or the other reason is he don't really find you attractive like that. He's trying to come in, do the bare minimum, get that cat and bounce. That's what he's trying to do. I don't know about y'all, but recently, I don't have to ask men for money. That's what I'm saying. If you really asking, I don't think he desiring you like that. These men will pull out that wallet so fast. They give you so much free stuff because they're like, oh no, like I got it. I'm like, are you sure? And then not only that, they be paying for your friends too. You and your friend that came with you and some other friends. So I don't know, y'all. It's either the man you dealing with do not have it, or he don't like you like that. I'm telling you, these men, no hesitation. And then they're not hesitating to pay for your friends. They're not. So I got a friend right now. She was like, every time I go out with you, I don't got to pay for shit. It's so funny. We always, but for real though, whenever I'm with her, we always do. We get free stuff all the time.
15, we discussed starting to have a baby. And at that point, I was 36 and I had no clue how long it would take. They always say your fertility starts to really drop off at that point. And despite not really having any previous issues with that, I just didn't know how it was going to go. He had promised me that marriage was absolutely around the corner. And so I agreed at that point that we would go ahead and start trying in case that this whole thing took a really long time. Marriage was something super important to me, and it was absolutely kind of a non-negotiable thing for me at that time in my life.
Ooh, I like
and
that.
So with his persistence and reassurance that we would absolutely be getting married, I decided, hey, why not? Let's go ahead and give this a go and start our trying journey.
Now, she said it was a non-negotiable, but I would not have started that journey, y'all. I wouldn't have started that. Listen, that's another lesson now. All right, because I be seeing girls sign up for that. Girls that are up in age. Okay, you're kind of feeling pressure to do that, and I understand, but you got to make sure you got things on lock first. You got to make sure that things are on lock first before you go through with that journey, because that journey can take a toll on your mental health, your body, and then he may not be the most supportive. It's just a lot to put yourself through without having things on lock, if you know what I mean.
So let's head on over to part 4 and we'll see how that goes. Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 4. So we last left off, relationships going really well, and we started talking marriage, kids, whole shebang. So marriage for me was an absolute non-negotiable. We did have the factor of my age. I was 36 at the time. And so we decided to give it a go. He promised that we would absolutely be getting married. And so I absolutely believed him. I had no reason to believe that he would be lying to me. Obviously, again, hindsight is 2020. Probably shouldn't have believed him, but this is just how the story unfolded. So we decided to try for the first time in May of 2015. This was at a friend's wedding, and this place was gorgeous. So this was in Charleston, South Carolina, and this was just adorable. It had 2 bedrooms. I'll show you the rest. This was the inside, just really, really pretty. And here was the outside. And more. This is a terrible picture of him, but my face in this kind of makes me sad. I was so in love with this guy, y'all. Like, oh, so in love. So wedding weekend was a blast. We had such a good time. And a month later, found out that we were in fact expecting, which was a complete shock. Had no idea that it was going to happen that quickly. So since marriage was supposed to be imminent,
I have a question for the girls that are saying she's materialistic. She can't like nice things. Like, damn, I like nice things. Now, I ain't willing to be cheated on, though. I ain't willing to be cheated on. I ain't willing to sell my soul either. Okay, I can't. But like, can we women like nice things? Like, what do you really feel like makes you to be materialistic? I really want to know. It's a serious question. What do you think makes a woman to be materialistic? Is it just simply based off of her liking nice things, or is it more so based off of she's willing to do whatever to have the nice things that she likes? Just a question.
Started looking for rings. And another one. During this time period, the van was purchased. This is the vehicle I ended up driving exclusively the whole time that I was in St. Louis. And we needed a 12-passenger van because we had a shitload of kids.
Damn.
And another van.
Damn.
So I was still in Florida, though. He was in St. Louis, Missouri. And we always knew when we got to this point that we would have to end up moving. So in the state of Florida, the way that all of that works is through the courts, you submit that, hey, I'd like to move. And your ex or the father of your children can either accept and say, yeah, sure, I grant the request, or they can say no. And then you have to battle it out in court. And that's exactly what ended up happening. And so Will paid all of the fees, which was not cheap, to be able to start our relocation process and get that ball rolling. My lawyer at the time said, look, guys, you're not married. It's a 50-50 shot if this is going to be granted. And that feels really, really risky for something that is a one-shot deal. Oh, yeah. And as things were starting to progress and there was still no proposal in sight, I was starting to get really antsy. So I messaged him about it. Get out the way. Pause to read.
Hey. Oh, let's go back.
So he promised that it was still coming, that it was imminent. And so at this temporary custody hearing.
Okay, so this, I believe, is from her ex-husband. Good morning. Hope the girls have good games today. I need to talk to you later. Okay, what's up? I think we need to cancel the relocation process until our relationship has been taken to the next level. I'm sorry. That's him, not her ex-husband. I'm sorry. I guess they're just communicating about the kids. So he's saying, I think we need to cancel the relocation process until our relationship has been taken to the next level. I agree with this. It's a one-shot deal with no do-overs, and it's too risky in its current circumstances, which I agree with, because her relocating with her kids, and then they still have a father from their previous her previous relationship that I'm pretty sure I'm assuming is local in the same city and things like that. So she would be not only uprooting her own life, but she would be uprooting her kids' life, her 3 kids. So yeah, he needs to step up.
So I messaged him about it. Get out the way. Pause to read. So he promised that it was still coming, that it was imminent. And so at this temporary custody hearing in December, he was listed as my fiance. He was also extensively questioned for a solid hour. They wanted to know what his intentions were, especially if the relationship didn't last. The judge and obviously my ex's attorney didn't want to see us stranded in Missouri. And so he reassured over and over again that, yes, we were getting married. Again, he's being listed as my fiance. That's how he's being addressed in this court. He's saying that if the relationship were to ever end, that he would buy us a house and make sure that we were taken care of. This is all court reported and documented through Bay County. As for me, at the time, through most of this, I was in nursing school. And literally the morning of this temporary trial hearing, I literally took my last exam and had knocked out one of my degrees. And it's one of my favorite accomplishments that I've ever done. I think anybody as a single mom with no family support in town, to accomplish that is a really big deal. So on my end, there was questioning about, well, what do you plan on doing with your career moving forward?
Now, y'all was calling this woman a gold digger and materialistic, but she still got that degree, honey. She did. That's a smart. But you know what? I be trying to tell y'all, the women back in the day did not play. When they had that man and they like that was paying, they was getting that degree, planning for their future, just in case if shit didn't go the way they was supposed to, they was still gonna be good. All right. They had that little Mercedes. And they lived off campus. The man was paying. They was going to school, and they made sure they finished school just in case. So that's another thing that you can learn from her. She still went to school. She was being flued out here, going here. He was probably taking her shopping, showing her this, and she still went to class, ladies. She still went to class. Okay, let's continue.
Forward. And so at the time, I had said, yeah, I absolutely want to finish my schooling, move forward in that, not knowing what my future actually was going to look like and what the reality of that was. But that was certainly my intention to be able to do that going into this relationship. So just a couple days after Christmas, we got a response from the judge, and she granted our request on a temp hearing, which is unheard of in that part of Florida. I don't know how it is in other states, but that's not typically done. So we packed up, we moved, and I think it was a day after New Year's, January 2nd, we all ended up moving over to St. Louis. And this started our St. Louis journey, and it wasn't all sunshines and rainbows. Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 5. So we're now in St. Louis, and I'm about, 3-ish weeks away from my due date. I think I was due sometime around January 22nd, something like that. It's been a while. But anyhow, I am about to burst. Here's me with my belly very large and in charge. This gave us a little bit of time to start getting the kids in their rooms, getting everybody situated. Everybody had their own rooms except my middle daughter and his youngest daughter. They shared a room. When we were still in Panama City, the kids had FaceTime with him, and they were walking through a furniture store, and they were able to pick out their own furniture, which was kind of fun. And it gave them something to look forward to, and they had a hand in making their room their own. The new baby's room was essentially a shoe closet that Will had enlarged a little bit. Here, I'll show a picture. I couldn't find an actual picture of when it was the actual baby's room, but this is from the listing when we sold the place, and it was remade into a second primary closet. But as you can see, it was a small little space. Over by the window was where the wall was. It certainly wasn't a long-term solution, but it worked in a pinch at the time. So I ended up missing my due date, and we were starting to run into a little bit of a problem because Super Bowl week was coming up. And if you're not familiar, because I certainly wasn't, I'm not a sports girly, I don't know how this stuff works, but essentially there was a whole week of festivities building up to the actual Super Bowl game. So we'll like to go every year, and we used to do various events, and this year in particular was no exception. He was going to be going. So I ended up having to have things moved along, and I ended up going into labor and delivering him, and it was a boy. We were so excited, and let me show you how cute he was. Hold on. Here's me and him the day he was born, just so cute. And then him a handful of months later, and just, oh my gosh, what an adorable little guy. Love him to pieces. After Liam was born, things got hectic really fast. Obviously, Will had gone out of town pretty soon after he was born. And then after that had started kind of diving headfirst into taking various finance series. So one of the issues is our kids were not going to the school that they were zoned to go to. To keep everything more streamlined and keeping all the kids together, we decided to put all of my kids into schools that were with.
This seemed like a lot of work, right? It seems like a lot. It seems like a lot. But he was willing to do it, though. He was willing to pay. He was willing to do it. Interesting. And Black women, I hope you writing all of this down so you can raise your standards, baby, because that's the only way you're going to get something. You're going to have to raise your standards, okay? I hope you writing that down, because it's insane what they're willing to do outside of the community.
His ex-wife's location. So this meant carting kids to school, back to from school, and then afterwards it was all of these after-school drives to various activities. 5 of the 6 kids had extensive activities. I'm talking volleyball, softball, gymnastics, dance, music lessons, various clinics. I mean, just all sorts of stuff.
And all of that cost.
And here I am carting a newborn around with all of these kids, and his older girls were staying over, I would say, a good majority of the time at this point. Because like I said, our kids got along really, really well, and they were very similar in ages. And so it was a lot. It was hectic, and it was way more than I had signed up for. Also, we didn't have a house cleaner. We didn't have any kind of like staff or anything like that, which is totally fine. But I was cleaning the house.
No, the hell it ain't. See, this is what I be talking about. This is what I be talking. No, the hell it ain't. 6 kids with a newborn. And how big was this house? And I'm expected to clean it? And I'm supposed to take these kids to all of these activities? Couldn't be me. Y'all really gonna think I'm a gold digger because I ain't doing that shit. First of all, I don't want all them damn kids. That's number one. And number two, I gotta be the cook, the cleaner, I gotta be the runner. I gotta drop the kids off, pick them up, and do all of that. That's too much. And then she hauling all these kids around in that big van that it's a no ma'am for me. This remind me of what's that weird man with the hat, cat in the hat? Cam Newton. This what Jasmine is putting up with. Pray for the girls, y'all. Pray for the girls.
I think that house was like around 5,500 square feet. So it was a large house with all of these kids in and out. And so it was constantly dirty, constantly messy, and constantly something to do. And so this was a lot. This is not how I expected my life to be at all when I got to St. Louis. My life was absolutely crazy in every single way. This picture will forever crack me up, but this is Liam, obviously a little bit older, look at the timestamp, but this was at a music lesson, and God love him. He just got carted around everywhere, and just, I love him. During this time period, noticeable cracks definitely began to show within the relationship. Stay tuned for the next part. Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 6.
Glad you didn't marry this
So like
man.
I said before, cracks were beginning to show in the relationship. And this really began a period of complete chaos.
Listen, this man low-key set her ass up. I'm sorry. He did. And the reason was because first of all, he impregnated her. He did that shit on purpose. I be trying to tell the girls that pregnancy stuff, it sound good. It do. It sound good. But the way these men start to ice skate out here in these streets behind your back, they be like, skirt. That's exactly what they start to do. This is giving ballerina farm. Yeah. Y'all, this ain't for me. This ain't for me. I thought the whole perk of dating a man with money is leisure, not labor. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's why a man ain't gonna ever impress me with his money. I'm never impressed by that. I'm sorry. Because if I'm dating a man with money, leisure is what I expect. If I don't get that, I'm not dating you. Like, that's stupid. I might as well get an average Joe. Because if you're not giving me leisure, what is the purpose of you having funds and resources? Isn't it to make my life easier? I'm telling you, y'all, these men be putting these women to work. They be putting them to work, y'all. They be putting them to work. And then be having these women haul 6, 8 kids. And y'all, have you ever been around kids, like a bunch of them at once? It's complete chaos. You pick one thing up, and then you clean up an area, and then the next thing you know, the same toy you just picked up is back out, and it's just toys everywhere, crumbs everywhere, sticky, and then they like to bounce off the walls. Have you ever seen a kid on sugar? They jumping from couch to couch, bouncing off the walls. It's a lot. It's a lot. And then you got a newborn. Y'all, that's labor. That's labor.
Within the household and within the relationship. Like I previously stated, I was picking up kids, I was dropping off kids, I was running around everyone, and I had a baby throughout all of this. I was cleaning the house. Like, my schedule was absolutely insane.
Absolutely.
So there began a pattern when we lived in Panama City of Will unexpectedly bringing animals home. The first was with my oldest daughter. She had discussed liking sugar gliders. He was like, hey,
girl, come again. Y'all. So Ooh, y'all. No. So this man had her up in the house with 6 kids, a newborn baby, and kept bringing animals home. Oh, woo. That's a mess.
I like sugar gliders too. Let's go check some out. So we all go, we check out this adorable little bonded pair. And we're like, sweet, let's go ahead and take them home. Again, we also had bunnies. So I had 2 bunnies and then 2 sugar gliders. So the next day, Will really wanted a Lewistic sugar glider. So he took my daughter. They went to go look at this Lewistic sugar glider. And before I know it, I have 3 sugar gliders in my house. Let me show you some pictures because they really were cute.
That's great.
So this was one of the bonded pair. And here is the little Lewistic one. She's precious, but I was totally not expecting her to come home. So in addition to all the kids stuff, we had 2 bunnies, 3 sugar gliders, and Will had 2 dogs, Exie and Mojo. It was a full house. So around the time that Liam was born, we had discussed getting a Labradoodle. And I certainly didn't expect that it was going to be anytime soon because obviously my plate was overflowing at the time. But unexpectedly around Mother's Day, Will popped in with a puppy Labradoodle and another stray dog puppy that he had seen on the side of the road. This was Yoshi.
At this point, she's an employee. All that and see, that's why I be telling the girls, you cannot be impressed by a man's money. In the beginning, it could be all a setup. For real. Like, she's a zookeeper, she's a babysitter, she's a maid, a cleaner. So he like, oh, I'm gonna get my money back. This is crazy. That's why it ain't for me, y'all. I'm sorry. It ain't for me, honey. You're not getting me. You're not gonna get me like this. Absolutely not.
And Coda. So we now have 4 dogs, 2 of them puppies, which we all know how puppies are. They might as well be newborns. And so yeah, let me show you some pictures. Here's sweet Yoshi. Here's little Coda.
That's crazy.
And here's the 2 of them together. They really were a cute pair. And so if all of this isn't crazy enough, sometime around, I don't know, I guess it was like October-ish, he decided, hey, let's move. Let's find a bigger house. Liam's room wasn't really a room. And that way we could find something that all of the kids could have their own bedroom. And I'm like, okay, like that sounds fair. But this was a huge process. This meant going through all of his stuff, thinning out. He has a lot of stuff. This dude likes stuff. And so thinning out his items, taking those out to the farm, staging the house, cleaning the house, getting it ready for pictures. This was a major undertaking. And who do you think a lot of this fell on? Yes, me. More duties piled onto my shoulders. Just what I wanted to have.
Girl, I would have been packing them bags, girl. I'm telling you, no. This is, this is horrible. This is horrible. Could you imagine her? What is feminine about this? What is soft about this? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is crazy. This is crazy, y'all. This is definitely giving Ballerina Farm for sure.
During this time, the dogs were taken out to the farm. That way for the showings and whatnot, they weren't in the way, and it alleviated a little bit of the cleaning. So once we get all of the house straightened up, then all of the showings start. And these showings, there were so many showings, and we've got all of these kids in and out. And so I was having to clean and get the house show ready. For all of these, it was exhausting. And again, I've got all of these other things going on. I'm going to show some of these logs. These were all texted to my phone. That way I could see when these showings were, and there were so many. Here's more. Here's more. And this is not even all of them.
This is crazy.
There was something else going on behind the scenes as well. We're all very familiar with love languages, and mine in particular is words of affirmation. And for me, that's not like compliments and stuff. It's, I need to be told I'm loved. Like a handwritten card for me means more than.
Baby, wait a minute now. We got to rewind. Because that ex-wife was trying to give you a heads up, sis. Because, and I know that you know that now. But remember when she was asking that man for reassurance? Remember the ex-wife was asking for reassurance. I need reassurance. This is crazy. Yeah, this is crazy. He goes, you gonna pay. This is crazy. That's why I don't like. I know that a lot of women don't want to go by this, right? But I'm not going to side with what women say about a man, but I am going to keep record of that. And if I see it, then I'm out. I'm bouncing, y'all. For real. I'm out. If I see an ounce of what that other woman that he dated before me said, because she was kind enough to say, hey sis, da da da. Oh, once I see it, I'm bouncing out. I'm not making it seem like, oh, I'm gonna have a better experience than her. No, ma'am. I'm not gonna play myself like that. I'm not. These women don't be lying. They really don't. They don't be lying. These men don't magically change overnight. So now she's wanting reassurance because she's undervalued. She's not being appreciated in this relationship. And he's taking advantage of her kindness because she doesn't have any boundaries. She never told this man, hey, no more pets, or hey, I can't take on any more load when it comes to my responsibilities. That's too much. And then what the hell was he doing?
Gifts or presents or anything like that. It's the way to my soul, my heart. And so he wasn't really telling me a whole lot. And I went to him and I was like, hey, this is what I need. This is what I need to feel loved. And most people, when they hear those kinds of things, they're like, sure, like, let me do whatever I can. Let me do better, whatnot. And instead of doing better, he proceeded to not tell me that he loved me for the next 2 years. As you can imagine, this created a lot of animosity. It was almost like a power pull. It was weird. It was bizarre. And it made me feel horrible. But as you can see, this really, really wore on our relationship. Let me share some screenshots. So my animosity was starting to wear really thin at this point. I'm telling him, your house is clean, ready for another showing, doing all of this stuff. And here I am, I'll scroll down so you guys can read, pause, read. There were other weird things going on during this time as well. There had been screenshots.
Y'all, this is crazy. Okay. So he's in the white. He says in sales meeting, probably lying about that. He probably out here cheating, talking about, I'm in a sales meeting. Just wanted to let you know about picking up kids. Could you please, and drop blah, 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 picking up blah, 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 get her to practice. Okay, so they're communicating about the kids, and I'm assuming she's scratching out their names. And then she says, oh, girl, when a woman's fed up. She fed up. She said, okay, as always, ... He would have got way more lit from me, girl. He would have got way more lit from me. She fed up. He's definitely cheating. I already know. Just in a sales meeting. I call bullshit on that. And then he gonna say, you don't have to pick up blah, blah, blah. Don't have to worry about picking blah up. Then she texts and says, your house is clean. And I'm not laughing at this situation because this is really not funny. I'm laughing at her passive aggressiveness because, thank you. And I'm sure it looks great. Wondering when you're going to get blank his grumbling bumble puss. I don't know what that is. Okay, I can't really read that. She responds, doubt I ever will. This relationship is all, let me see if she moves out the way a little bit so I could kind of like, oh, damn. It goes away. I can't read it. She's in the way. Okay, let's just continue.
What's going on during this time as well. There had been a pattern of him for interviews still saying that he was married to his ex-wife and they had 3 girls and they had this farm and whatnot. This actually ended up becoming an issue during our whole relocation stuff. He had to provide his divorce decree because an article from an event that we had gone to together had stated that he was married with his 3 kids and yada, yada. So anyhow, during this time, more of these kinds of articles keep popping up. And every time his excuse was, well, they copied and pasted from somewhere else, or I told them this, or I told them that. But this was something that happened repeatedly. And it was very upsetting to me. So here's one of these text messages during this time period. I'll get off the way so you guys can pause. And like I said, you can see his excuse. It's always the writer, or I told him this. And it was just bullshit. One of the reasons that he gave me for not telling me he loved me or still saying that he was married in these articles is he would always say, well, I put you on the biggest stages in the world because he had posted a picture in his TED Talk of us together. Also during this time, he starts coming home with more animals. Lots. And not just dogs, but huge dogs. This is Artemis. We called her Artie. She's a Great Dane. I don't know why this says Metropolis up here, but this is Apollo. We called him Paulo. And this was literally brought the day we moved out of our house.
Yo, this is crazy. Listen, he sought out this woman And he knows that she can't easily relocate with those kids because of the court order. And then she doesn't have a job, but she is smart. She does have a degree. But she doesn't have a job. So she doesn't have her own financial backing. And this is why I'm always telling you, do not be relying on these men and only these men for funds. Because y'all, I'm telling you, I would have had my shit packed up. I would have been out. It's because thank you, RS. That is so sweet. I'm not really understanding the animal thing either, unless they're breeding them or they're having showings for them. I don't really understand that either. But let's continue.
Another Great Dane puppy. So this is where things really start. It's kind of the beginning of where it really starts to hit the fan. We have to move into a temporary apartment because we were purchasing a house on a short sale, and it was not short, it was long. So stay tuned for the next because it's about to get really insane. Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 7. So things are now super chaotic. We have 2 little Great Dane puppies. We have a 1.5-year-old and various kids throughout the summer. And we're now in a little apartment with that's stuffed full of shit, waiting to be able to move into the new house that we're trying to purchase. During this period is when I first start to see my therapist. And this is one of the best things that I did for myself. And pretty soon, bless her heart, every time I'd go in to see her, it was like a shock and awe session. It was like the most insane things. Having her in place, I will forever be grateful, as well as my family, my friends who walked me through this, like truly invaluable. And I will forever be thankful to those who did. So if you guys have ever been around Great Dane puppies, you know that they do not stay tiny for very long. This was just a couple months later, and this was Artemis, and she's literally quadrupled in size. So having these 2 Great Dane puppies who are very quickly becoming mini horses in this tiny apartment where they are puppies and they're wanting to horseplay and fight and they're bumping into things and knocking the baby over. And this issue alone was super, super stressful. From here forward, I will be referring to the house that we are about to purchase as Brokedown Palace. Brokedown Palace, just to
I gotta say, y'all, she got the same black man that black women get, because he took her completely out of her femininity and put her straight in survival mode and turned her into an employee and a breeder. That's weird. This whole thing, y'all, it's weird.
to give a little bit of detail on it, was huge. It was, I think, 9,500 square feet. There was an 1,800 square foot portion that was unfinished that was eventually going to be a huge primary suite with a sitting area, a huge walk-in closet, and a huge bathroom with a laundry area. The basement was also completely unfinished. And we needed to do extensive reworking of the floor plan to add on different bedrooms. The previous primary was like this long, like bowling alley, and we were going to turn it into 2 bedrooms, and it needed a ton of work. So during this time, we started getting multiple contracting bids, and it was going to cost, back then, this is 2017, it was going to cost like $350,000 just to do all of these various things that we were wanting to do. So during this time, I was going to various supply shops that had like tiles and flooring and all kinds of stuff. I had so many different appointments to do different things, getting carpet, picking out things, doing specialty design work. Hold on. So here is one of the contractor layouts of this primary room. And it ended up being really similar to this, except the sink ended up being against the back wall. But here, I'll get out the way. This was one of the renderings we did for the sink for the primary. It was going to be really pretty. And next I'm going to show just a couple different screenshots. You can see the timestamps above. That way, just see, it was various days, lots of time. And another, and another. And I have a bunch more of these, but I don't.
And then another thing too is like he impregnated this lady. He impregnated this lady and then is buying new property with her and won't marry her still. That, y'all, this ain't even, I can't laugh at this woman's situation. And the reason is because this is sick. It's a very abusive, a lot of mind games, a lot of leading on, just the whole thing from beginning to end. It's just, why is he playing with her like this? And now turning her into an interior designer. She has so many responsibilities and so many tasks. And how much you want to bet this man is outside cheating? Absolutely not.
I don't want to bore you guys. So the day comes where the short sale is finally over and Will goes to purchase the new house. And when he comes back, I'm told, you know what? We're not getting a contractor after all. We're going to do it ourselves. I wish I was kidding. I'm not.
Crazy.
This is for real. He wants to redo this $350,000 remodel project by ourselves with all these animals, all the other items. Yes, let's add more. Here is a screenshot. This is from actually years down the road. We'll circle back to all of this, but here he admits to all of these facts, and I will get out the way so you can pause to read.
Okay, she said, okay, so she's talking to him about shifting blame. Again, not surprising. How are facts shifting blame? So I don't know what they're talking about, but let's see. You are making excuses to justify your behavior like always. So she's getting on him about probably just all of these tasks, because she's saying, because it's a fact, I didn't make anything on my old house. It's a fact we chose this one. Yes, it's a fact we saw contractors' bids. It's also a fact that the bank wouldn't lend the capital to cover those contractors. And as the old house was already sold and we were in the apartment waiting to close, dynamics changed, just like Dennis not wanting to close. Okay, so this is him. And they're talking about the house and things. And Dennis not wanting to close on the house the day of the closing. In fact, you quit multiple times on the cabinets. Yes, it's a fact I didn't tell you about the contractor ordeal because we would have to deal with it either way. Not really any options there, but you'll say I'm deflecting. So they arguing about this house, y'all.
The logic that is in those text messages is like insanity. I don't even know what to say to those because, wow. So here we go. Let's get to work. And a lot of work had to be done before we could even move into the place. So this was the original primary. It had a tray ceiling. Tray ceiling had to be taken out. And what he is doing there, he is connecting the main house to where this 1,800 square foot new primary was going to go. This used to be, I guess, a second upstairs kind of living room. And we put a wall up because it needed to be a bedroom. This is a little bit down the road, but this was that bowling alley primary where it's now hallway and 2 bedrooms. Here is one of the kids' bedrooms, and I did so much painting.
Around this time, I was snooping, and I believe she said she was around 33. So she was around 33 years old when all of this was going on, I believe. I'm not sure how old she is today.
And we have a lot of carpet removal, and I can't even tell you the thousands of staples that I removed from the floor of this property.
What?
My hands are still aching just thinking about it. And same thing, carpet removed from the stairs, and all kinds of staples needed to be taken out of it as well. One of the other jobs that I was doing was completely redoing all of the kitchen cabinets and the butler's pantry cabinets. This was an enormous undertaking. We're talking.
So she's now a contractor? I'm keeping track of her tasks. So far, we got real estate, zookeeper, farmer, cleaner, sex worker, maid, contractor, interior designer. Did I miss something? It's just so many. My goodness.
Talking, prepping, sanding, priming, painting.
Painter?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Here's a goofy picture. The Great Danes actually popped the front door window out. Chaos, always chaos. Here's a view of that repurposed primary bedroom. The room was massive. So as you can imagine, I am growing increasingly resentful during this time period. My emotional needs aren't being met. I'm doing all of these things and still no engagement.
Girl.
I'm being forced to do things that I'm being baited and switched on constantly. I'm carting kids around again. I just keep giving and I'm not getting very much back. I'm still even being told I'm loved. Like, what the fuck? And to add injury to insult, Will is getting onto me saying, well, but you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Insinuating and implying that because I'm not back in school or having a job.
Black women, we know all about that, don't we? That's gaslighting. We got the chauffeur for the kids or the nanny, carpenter. We got to put that down. Damn shit. Woo. Yeah, this is he won't make her a wife. He'll make her everything else up under the sun, literally, but not a wife.
That he can't fulfill my needs because I'm not doing what I said I was going to do.
That's crazy.
At what time and at what point am I supposed to fit all of this in? Make it make sense. So when I confront him about being really overwhelmed with the situation and, saying about the kids, having to cart everybody around, he tries to say it's because I don't want to be around his kids, that I have some weird issue with them. And that's not it at all. I loved those girls like they were my own. I treated them like they were my own. We did Pinterest boards for their bedrooms. I did their birthday cakes every year. They were my buddies. Like, I adored these girls. So
a baker too? Girl, this is crazy. This is crazy. I feel like Medea, like he did what? He had you doing what? That's what I feel like. Did she get paid? Damn. I mean, she was doing everything. She was probably an accountant too with his finances.
Punished me by not having them hardly come around at all at that point. This was the beginning of them being alienated from me, but at the time I couldn't see that at all. Stay tuned because towards the end of 2017, it really starts hitting the fan. Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 8.
I'm just glad you didn't
So in the fall of 2017, things really started to hit the fan and financial abuse was really rearing its ugly head. The problem was we had this van. It was a 12-passenger van. Those things are huge. I think it gets like 12 or 10 miles per gallon. It's awful. And it guzzled gas like crazy. And so it was going through, I think, like $250 in gas per week. So that alone was a huge expense.
Dang.
Another issue during this time is Will was working. He was often out of town. And there were so many things that were completely falling onto my shoulders yet again. And we're still remodeling. We still got all these animals.
Baby, where the shopping sprees? What happened? What the shopping sprees? The trips? And y'all, just imagine what Jasmine Brown is going through right now. Just imagine what she's going through. I mean, you have to, right? Like, you have to. Because that man, Cam Newton, he already openly admitted that he feels like he's only valuable when he pulls out his wallet. So Jasmine is the type that wants to prove that she's not there for that. So she's probably doing hard labor similar to this woman. I believe.
Like it's a bit of a hot mess. I still had my therapist. I ended up being diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 38, which was kind of life-changing for me. And she also had several sessions, not just in 2017, but a little bit beyond, of both Will and I. So she did get a chance to sit with him. And in our sessions, we'd go through all of like text messages and seeing his words. I also have audio recordings and videos, which will be shared. And so she got a very clear picture of him. And that is how he got the label of a covert sociopathic narcissist. This is not me giving this to him.
Wait a minute.
This is by somebody who does this for a living. Through all of like text messages and seeing his words. I also have audio recordings and videos, which will be shared. And so she got a very clear picture of him. And that is how he got the label of a covert sociopathic narcissist. This is not me giving this to him.
Baby, you don't gotta convince us. She over here feeling like she gotta convince us. After you just told us this man, first of all, he's a coochie crook. Let's start with that. He had you become a real estate agent, a zookeeper, a farmer, a cleaner in the house, and a cleaner on the farm. Okay, so you're a zookeeper, right? That's what zookeepers do. They keep the areas where the animals are. They keep that stuff clean. Okay, so it can be healthy for the animals. Sex worker, maid, nanny, contractor, interior design, painter, chauffeur, carpenter, baker. Did we miss anything? Psychiatrist. Let me go ahead and add that in there too, because girl, this is you're like, that's what my therapist. Girl, you don't gotta say that to us, because we trying to figure out it gotta be something, because this ain't normal. Absolutely not. It's like, does he have some type of kink too, where he likes to see a woman suffer or something. I don't know. Like he gets some type of kick out of it. And chef too. We gotta add that in there. Damn. He put this woman to work. Like he gets some type of kink from her being like, I don't know, like a hard worker or like a slave damn near. It's weird.
This is by somebody who does this for a living. And still, marriage was a huge issue for me. There still wasn't a marriage proposal. And I know that it really sounds crazy that I still wanted a marriage proposal because clearly this is not a good relationship and clearly this is not a good guy. Like I knew that. I mean, I truly did. I think for me, it was about needing to feel validated that I was actually worthy in his eyes to be proposed to. I don't think I ever, if he would have proposed, I don't think I would have actually married him. But I think for me, I was seeking that validation and just needing to feel valued and worthy of that. So I proposed a 6-month marriage timeline and he was like, no, absolutely not. I want it to be 18 months.
I'm out.
And at first I was like, absolutely not. Like, no, like what else do I have to do? What else do I have to prove that I am worthy of this? At least that was what was in my mind. And so we took a weekend, supposed to be thinking about our marriage timeline, what was important to us, if this could even work out moving forward. And it absolutely didn't go that great for me. This next part I'm about to talk about, I wanted to give a trigger warning. I am about to discuss a suicide attempt and self-harm, and anyone who is sensitive to that, just please take note. That's what's going to happen.
This is crazy, y'all. This is crazy. This I gotta take a break. I added surrogate to the list, y'all. Psychiatrist. I also added pharmacist. Like, someone in the chat said it may seem like he had some type of suffrage kink or something. Like he liked to see her suffer and beg too. But she admitted it though. She said, I wanted to be validated. And I mean, after all that work he had her do, she wanted to feel valued. She was seeking his validation. And see, that's why I'm always telling you, the more confident you are, the more you build yourself up, the more you're protecting yourself from people who do this weird, sick shit. Because this is sick. To do this to somebody. And then he got 3 daughters. Let's not forget about that. All right. He got 3 daughters too. So would he want his daughters to go through something like this? Yeah, this is some evil shit. This is some evil shit. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so trigger warning for those that don't want to hear anything about what she's about to go into next. Okay, with the suicidal attempt. Okay.
This is going to be hard. I do have permission from my oldest daughter to share this. We actually went over together. I wanted to get her approval for what I was going to say. But my oldest daughter, she graduated in 2017, and she's beautiful and lovely and the most amazing artist, and she's very introverted. She's also been a little bit of a late bloomer. She didn't start driving until she was 20, and she didn't get her first job until right after she graduated. This is when we were living in the apartment, and it worked out great because she worked at a Target, and it was like a 5-minute walk for her. So it was just a perfect situation for her. And this job was a great fit. It helped develop her interpersonal people skills, and she loved it, and she felt comfortable there. And all of these were very important aspects for her. So when we moved over to Brokedown Palace, and the financial abuse was beginning to really rear its ugly head, my daughter really wanted to keep her job. And because again, this is important to her. Will's behavior was becoming more and more unhinged. There were days that he would try to refuse to let me use the vehicle. There were days where he would refuse to give gas money. And this left my older daughter in quite a pickle. So she would take Ubers to work. And I think she thought that it would work out okay financially, where she was still making some money and it was still like a good experience for her. So it was worth it for her in that way. Sorry. There was one day that Will forced her to ride his bike to work, which was quite a ways. and refused to let me take her. And on the way home, it rained. And that night, she took a whole bottle of her medication. And
wow, this is sick.
And so she had to be rushed to the hospital and was in the ICU for several days, and then went to an outpatient treatment center for a little while. And yeah, as a mom, seeing your child struggle like that, and you can't protect her. And
I know she woke up like this.
After that, she stayed there at the house for a couple months, and then she ended up moving back to Florida. And she's happily, I can report, she's doing really, really well. She's thriving. She's healthy. She's happy. I couldn't be proud of her. But stay tuned, because circumstances are about to get a little weird. And yeah, more drama, more stuff hitting the fan. Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 10. Brought out my old trusty dusty microphone, and we'll see if this improves our audio a little bit better. So we left off in part 9 with my ex-husband getting arrested for beating his current wife. Yes, that is what happened. There's obviously a lot to unpack with my ex-husband, but I'm not going to get into a whole lot of it here. Just please know that it is a complete dumpster fire all on its own. I'm only mentioning it here because
a lot of women do. A lot of women stay, y'all. They do. Okay, and it don't seem like her ex-husband was any better. All right. A lot of women do. So what you should learn from her story is, how many times did she get an opportunity to leave? Right? Yeah, listen, this is the last part, and then we'll go into part 2. We're going to do 10 at a time. So this is the last part. Okay? This is the last part.
Is a catalyst to how the rest of this kind of unfolds. So we had our emergency hearing, and I was ordered for June 24th to bring the kids back to Panama City so that way they could spend time with their dad for the summer. And a lot of protections and safety measures were put into place to hopefully keep the kids safe while they were there. During this particular week, Will also had a football camp, and so this kind of worked out well. We were killing 2 birds with 1 stone during this particular visit to the beach. The next day, Will and I had planned to leave. There was an event. I cannot remember what the event was. It was in Georgia, and we were going to be heading from Panama City to this location in Georgia for the event. So we decided to have lunch before we were going to head out. And it's a little surreal to look back on, because these were literally my last moments before literally like my entire life changed. And it's weird just to look back and think about that. For whatever reason, on this trip, we had 2 vehicles. I obviously had the 12-passenger van. He had a rental car of some kind, and we were both going to head over to this location in Georgia, and he was going to turn in his rental car afterwards. And the plan was to drive back to St. Louis from this spot once the event was over. My phone at the time was not working. I could do everything on my phone, but for whatever reason, when I would make a call out, the other people on the other end could not hear me. So for safety reasons, since we were in the 2 different vehicles, he gave me his work phone at lunch. And that way, if anything were to happen on the road, we would be able to communicate and handle our business. So after our lunch, I gather Liam. We get into the 12-passenger van, and Will gives us a kiss goodbye. And I start following him, and we're off to this destination. With things feeling very off, we had that month-long trip where he comes back and he's not wanting anything for a couple days. And there were other things that just were not sitting quite right with me. So as I'm following him, my ex drives extremely fast. I let him get off and get away. And Liam and I pull over. He's napping, and I decide to go look through the phone. What I discovered on this work phone of a handful of months was shocking, truly shocking. And it would change everything forever.
Oh, damn. Oh, no, she didn't leave it off like that, y'all. Okay. You got to come back for part 2. I don't know. Ooh, wee. Yeah, I want to know what this man was really up to when he was putting her through all of that. I do. I want to know what he was really up to, because I know that man wasn't in no damn sales meeting. So come back for part 2. I'm breaking it up, y'all. We're going to do 10 at a time, okay? Y'all wanted me to stop. Now y'all don't want me to stop. I didn't add part 9. I could have sworn I did. Let me make sure. Oh my gosh, I didn't. Oh my goodness. Thank you for saying that. Okay, let me pull up part 9. Oh my God, how did I mess that up? Okay, hold on. Let me switch gears. I'm sorry.
Who the fuck did I almost
Ugh,
marry?
the
NFL
volume.
edition, part 7. So things are now super chaotic.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let me turn the sound up more. Maybe this will help.
We have 2 little Great Dane puppies. We have a 1.5-year-old and various kids throughout the summer. And we're now in a little apartment with that's stuffed full of shit, waiting to be able to move into the new house that we're trying to purchase. During this period is when I first start to see my therapist. And this is one of the
Wait a
best
minute, that's
things
part
that I did
7.
for
Hold on.
myself. And pretty soon,
That's not part 9. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on. I forget. She was responding to questions. That's why I got confused. Okay, it says 11, but this is really part 9. I'm sorry.
Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 9. Sorry, this one's in my car. My daughter has something dance related right now. So I figured I'd try to get a video in because I'm trying to get these out to you guys as quickly as I can. So bear with me here. In this part, I wanted to go into a little bit of what was going on in the background with Will and his job. So, like I had previously stated, during, I guess, around 2016ish, he had started taking his financial series test, and he initially got a job at Farmers and was working as a financial advisor. He then moved on to Merrill Lynch and worked there for a while in that role. There was an incident while he was working there where a girl accused him of sexual harassment. She had even gone to HR and had requested to move to a completely different floor from what he had said to me. When I
Absolutely not. This is too much. This is way too much. Let's continue.
questioned him on this, he reasoned it away and said, it was just a crash joke that I had made. There were other people around us and I didn't think it was a big deal. He told me the joke and it didn't make a lot of sense. It made her seem like just a massive overreaction. And to this day, I don't know what happened. I do think asking.
Let's start with how he treated you now. Let's start with how he gaslights you and he manipulates you and he lies to you now. Come on now. Ladies, come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Just being real. Just being honest. I'm just being honest. All right. I'm not trying to come across condescending or mean. I'm just a direct speaker. Okay. Okay. I don't like to fluff too much, but hey, my spirit would have been like, no, absolutely not.
Asking to move floors certainly makes it seem like it was way more than a crass joke. But again, I will never know the truth on that. So about a month or 2 after our engagement timeline conversation, he had taken a job with another company. And with this other company, he had to do a month-long training out of town. And the bad thing is like I said before, he went out of town quite frequently. And a lot of times he was out of sight, out of mind. So a lot of times communication would kind of go funky. He's also very ADHD. That's how I was kind of reasoning at the time. And again, this was another red flag that I missed. After the engagement timeline weekend, I had ultimately decided that even though I wasn't happy with it and I didn't like it, I would go ahead and do the 18-month marriage timeline.
And this man, how much you want to bet he was out here scouting for another woman to replace her? He's a psychopath or whatever she said. How much you want to bet he was out here scouting?
And I guess for me, I kind of figured at the time, like I wasn't able to go anywhere anyway.
Oh, no.
might as well just stick with it. So during this time period, we're working, trying to get the relationship back on track. And for this little tiny bit, like he was doing relatively okay-ish. So he goes on this trip, and of course, communication is not good. And that always sucked. And I figured when he got back, like most men do when they're away from their partner for a good month, I figured he would be just all over me, just chomping at the bit. And it didn't happen for several days. And this definitely raised alarm bells. It's like, what the heck is going on? Just did not sit right with me, made me extremely.
Baby, he was out there scouting for his new replacement. That's why he kept, okay, see, this is why you don't go back on your non-negotiables, because he wanted her to agree to the 18 months because it would probably give him more time to work out whatever situation he probably already had going on behind the scenes, and she didn't know nothing about it.
Uncomfortable. And so I confronted him about it, and he reasoned it away. And while it didn't sit right with me, and it was certainly noted for later, I just kind of had to move on and move forward. So after this, things are kind of trucking along, semi-normal stuff, not a whole lot going on. Again, I think that was like April-ish that his trip was, and now we are in May of 2018. So my ex-husband gets arrested for beating his current wife. Yes.
That's right.
If you want to go back, you can see a previous video that I did for 4th of July. That is about the ex-husband. So anyhow, yeah, things are literally about to hit the fan in the most insane ways. From here going on, you're about to enter the shock and awe part of the series, and it's about to get really, really insane. Who the fuck did I?
So that's when she goes through his phone. That's where we stop. Now listen, y'all. Do you want me to stop or do you want me to keep going? Do you want me to stop or do you want me to keep going? I'm gonna rock with y'all tonight. I'm gonna rock with y'all. I'm willing to keep going because I want to know what was in this damn phone. It's burning in me. It really is. Okay, so we gonna keep going. Okay, that's 10. We already know that's about her going through the phone while they was on a road trip. Okay, here.
Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 11. Before I started this, I saw a handful of comments saying that the audio was better without the mic. So thank you guys for that. And so we'll proceed this way. And in all honesty, it'll probably work out better for this part anyway. So at the end of part 10, I had pulled over, looked through the work phone, and what I found was absolutely shocking.
What you
Before I
find,
get into
girl?
exactly what was in these text messages, I do want to put out a trigger warning in case anybody does not like sexual content. You might want to skip this part if you are highly sensitive to that. So the first text message that I
Listen. Put the kids to bed, y'all. We put the kids to bed, okay? If you are under the age of 18, I'm gonna need you to log out, even though I know you're not. But I'm supposed to say that on a platform. Okay, let's continue.
that I come across was a text with no name attached to the phone number, just a phone number at the top. And it was very immediately apparent that this was a sexual encounter. The time and date stamps on this text message were just earlier that month. Later, when I had gone back to see like what the heck was going on this day, like was he out of town? Was he in town? Was I there at the house? Just to kind of give some context on what was going on that day. And it was crazy because he had told me that morning, hey, look, I've got an errand to run. So the kids and I met up with him, I think around like noonish or so at a Barnes and Noble. And he was already there when we got there, and we walked in, and it was like every other day. Like nothing had happened. He didn't just have this encounter with this person.
Wow. Of course not.
It's wild to look back on things in that way and just how effortlessly this guy can do dirty and rage.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Absolutely start accusing each other of giving. I hang up the phone and I get back to looking. Because I was handling all this other crap, that's unreal. He said he'd only cheated on me with 2 people. I immediately called him. I was pissed, if you can imagine. called him up, literally walk on. He was as cool as a cucumber. You would have never have guessed that this guy had just cheated on me. So before I looked any further, I immediately called him. I was pissed, if you can imagine. Called him up. Hey, you're cheating. I'm done. I want nothing else to do with you or this entire situation. And he was pissed at me, which was like backwards land or something. Like, I'm supposed to be mad at you and you're mad at me. And his aggressive tone with me was actually, it was completely unreal. He said he'd only cheated on me with 2 people. He said things like, yeah, well, I fell off, and then immediately went into, well, this wouldn't have happened if you had been doing what you were supposed to be doing, implying because I wasn't in school, because I was handling all this other crap, that this gave him kind of a leeway to be able to cheat, and it made it a little okay. So there was immediately all of these excuses for his cheating, and he didn't even say he was sorry.
Ooh.
So I hang up the phone and I get back to looking.
Mm.
And it goes from like bad to worse very quickly. The next message I came across started with, "We need to chat." And he proceeded to tell her that he had gotten a special test and that she needed to get a special test. I'm not going to say exactly what it is. It's the C1. And it's not known as, but this is what we're going to call it for the purposes of the rest of our chat here.
Yeah. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is why when I be seeing women in relationships, I mind my damn business. That's what I do. I mind my business. You don't know what that lady dealing with in that relationship. You have no idea. I don't know. It could be crabs. It could. I don't know. But we know it's something we don't want. The hell? And that's ooh, wee. And ooh.
They proceed in this conversation to start accusing each other of giving
crazy.
each other. They were both saying that neither of them were smelling fresh that day, whatever that's supposed to mean. And this girl had the nerve to say, well, you got a girl. You must have gotten it from her.
What?
Obviously, seeing this and looking at the timeline, this was on his month-long trip. And I immediately realized that this is why he did not jump all over me immediately when he got home. At the time, apparently, he was finishing his round of antibiotics for... So the next one I came across was probably the most shocking to me, if you can actually believe that. Again, it was another number up top, not even a name attached. And this was also during his I guess, month-long sexcapade trip. So she was saying that she was ovulating and she was nervous about getting pregnant. And he was like, I wouldn't mind if I got you pregnant. And again, this is a number, not even a name attached in your freaking work phone. Like, it was so shocking to me that, like, what?
I'm not laughing at this woman, y'all. I'm getting mad. I'm getting mad. Y'all, I'm getting mad, y'all. Because I know how he tried to flip it on her and try to make it seem like, oh, it's because of you not doing this. I'm getting mad. I'm laughing because I'm really getting upset. I really am. Okay, if you can't see the smokes coming from my ears, just envision that, because this is really upsetting me. It's upsetting me and my homegirls. Like, what's going on?
There was another person who lived in California, apparently, and he had sent her a pic that she had previously sent him, and they immediately start texting, that kind of texting. And it was extremely graphic and extremely vulgar. And he was telling her to tell her boys that mom was going to have a house guest. And seeing that was also gross. It was such a disregard for other people's kids. And it was icky. There was another one that was clearly a coworker of his. He kept trying to hug her and talked about being able to squeeze her butt and feel her pillows. and very much trying to get her to come stay the night with him. Very, very inappropriate. And again, it gave a lot more credence to this past woman at his job at Merrill Lynch who had gone to HR to file a sexual harassment claim on him. I was floored that he was behaving and speaking to a coworker like this.
That's
No
crazy.
woman deserves that. There were multiple people that he was discussing spanking, and they were flirting very inappropriately. And then there were a couple that were just like, I love yous. I don't even know, but none of it was good.
But he didn't want to tell her that. He couldn't give her that reassurance though. But you out here telling other women that though. Like I said, I really think this man got some type of kink, some type of weird kink, y'all. Some type of weird kink.
None of it was appropriate. And so again, I call him back up after seeing all of this crap.
And listen, I'm not kink shaming. I'm talking about, I think the weird kinks are when you are making someone suffer and they didn't agree to this type of kink. Like, meaning the kink is all on just this one person, but the other person is not in on it. So I'm not kink shaming y'all, okay? I'm not. But when the other person doesn't agree, okay, you can have a kink or a fetish, but the other person didn't give you permission to treat them like this. It's sick. It's like evil.
And I'm like, look, I am not coming to Georgia because look, I do not want to see this person at this point. Like, I can't even imagine being stuck at an event, having to put on a happy face, being trapped in a room with this guy.
Hell
I'm
no.
going to take Liam. We're going to go home because we're not dealing with this crap. I made sure before I was done looking through the phone that I took pictures of the phone in my lap with my phone. Because remember, I couldn't make a phone call out, but I could certainly take photos with my phone. So I took pictures and I have evidence of every single one of these. So going back and looking through things, this is a post that he had on his Instagram. You can see the date here, April 6th. This was somewhere around the time that he had his month-long out-of-town trip.
You know, they always gonna have the nerve, aren't they? They always gonna have the nerve to play that victim role.
And what an icky
After traumatizing you.
thing to say when you look at it through the lens of what he was actually doing. And it's sad that he was certainly doing what made him happy, but destroying literally everyone else. So after confronting him, he flies into an absolute rage. And it starts getting really nasty from this point.
Ooh.
Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition.
Okay, we're gonna keep going.
Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 12. So in the last part, I confronted him about his...
Let me see if I can like speed it. Can I speed things up?
Who the fuck did I almost...
Is it here? Oh yeah, here we go. Let me know if that's too fast.
Mary, NFL edition, part 12.
That sounds too fast. Let me do this one.
So in the last part, I confronted him about his cheating, and instead he got very aggressive, turned it all around on me, and blew up at me. So after telling him I was not going to Georgia to this event, he flew into an absolute rage. He started demanding that I meet up with him immediately because he wanted to get his laptop and I think maybe a bag and of course the work phone. At first, I absolutely refused to meet up with him. One, I didn't want to see him or deal with him. And two, we had already gotten a late start. The drive to St. Louis and Panama City, it's about 12 hours. So here I'd already been on the side of the road for a couple hours. I got my toddler with me. I was already not getting home until super duper late. So I was like, absolutely not. You can get your crap later. So instead, he starts threatening that he's going to call the police on me and report it as a stolen van if I don't comply.
What?
So even though I had pretty much exclusively driven this 12-passenger van since I had been in St. Louis, it was in his name. And this terrified me because the last thing I wanted to do was get stranded with my toddler on the side of the road. So unfortunately, I felt like my hand was forced and I met up with him, and this ended up adding a couple more hours to our time. So we met up at a gas station, and almost immediately he starts threatening me. He's trying to get me to come to Georgia. He's pissed because I'm still refusing. He's really upset because he has to turn in his rental car and we were supposed to ride back together. So he's threatening that I should pay for his plane ticket since he now has to buy a plane ticket to come home. And obviously I'm like, yeah, no, that's absolutely not happening. He also immediately went to, well, I'm going to cancel your gym membership. And I'm like, oh no, not the gym membership. No. So didn't fall for his ploy. Again, I wanted nothing to do with this Georgia trip. I wanted to go home. And unfortunately, with all this other time added, we didn't get home until almost 4 a.m. It was so late.
We call that sprinkle. Okay. Yoni, what would you call a person that gets with someone only for them to pay the bills with no intentions to be faithful, that have multiple secret relationships? Sprinkle.
And we were absolutely exhausted. The next morning when I woke up, I decided to reach out to these other women because I figured if he's not being truthful to me, he's most likely not being truthful to them. It was clear in these messages that he was not using protection and had already caught something. And these women had a right to know for their own health and safety that if they had been active with him, that they needed to protect themselves and go get tested. And this made him very upset. And no, I did not accuse her of sleeping with him. I literally had sent a message saying, look, if you had, you need to go get tested. But anyhow, I'll get out the way so you guys can posturate.
Let me see what she said now. Okay, so I'm assuming my old boss's wife just texted me about accusing her of sleeping with me. Oh my gosh, Tori, you're just being reckless and sending a message to anyone at this point. Okay, so he finds out about her reaching out to these women behind his back. Oh my gosh, Tori, you're just being reckless and sending a message to anyone at this point, but I don't speak to her often, especially after blah. Then she responds, I didn't accuse her of anything. I even said I couldn't tell by the nature of the message, but wanted to let her know just in case. You were sleeping around with no protection. You are the one being reckless. And then he responds, right.
And more of this conversation. And
hold on, let me go back. Damn.
More of this conversation.
Hold on, let me go back. Okay, then.
I did not accuse her of sleeping with him. And more of this conversation.
Then she responds, right. Then she responds, I can't read that. The people deserve to know if you've put them at risk. You can't be honest with me at all. So I have no idea who's even who or how many. Then he responds, you the one just putting cannon fodder out there when it's not necessary. So he's mad that she's basically putting his business out on Front Street. So then she responds, you must have deleted the Louisville girl. I wouldn't be surprised if that one is pregnant or someone else pops up that way at this point. Then he responds, you don't even listen to what I said in your rage ears.
And more of this conversation.
Then she responds, nope, not raging at all. You created this mess. And if the people I contacted had sex with you, they have every right to know. You know, people go to jail for knowingly spreading ish. What you're doing is horrific to people. True.
And here he is just literally ignoring what I have to say.
And then deflecting. He's been doing that for a while. The gaslighting is out, just astonishing at this point. Did you get your replacement phone in? ? No sign of it. No sign of it. And then, okay, I'm about to leave the office and head to my conference. Okay.
So as you can see, he is not wanting to take any responsibility. He's trying to still deflect and blame me for reaching out to these people. These people have every right to know what is going on with their bodies and if they need to protect themselves. And here is more conversation from this day.
You weren't clean. You literally said you had just gotten swabbed and had something. You clearly thought you did enough to message blank to get her taken care of. Odds are, though, timing wise, it wasn't even her, as STDs won't show up immediately. It was likely your February girl, and it sounds like you dropped 200 to get her taken care of. Then he responds, definitely didn't drop anything. And then, and not just that, but you didn't have sex with me the night you got back because it wasn't enough time for, I'm assuming, the antibiotics to kick in or to clear up everything.
And more. Clearly at this point, I had put 2 and 2 together that this is why he wasn't all over me when he had come back.
Yeah. So he didn't have sex with her because she knew that he was waiting for the meds to kick in, and even then you still messed up by a couple days. You are so nasty. 100% repulsive. Actually waited a few extra days to be sure, so you're off by your calculations too. And then she responds, "You're still disgusting." Y'all, I would have been packed my stuff.
And more of trying to blame me. It would have been a non-issue if you had listened.
This is crazy.
Like insanity.
Then he said, "Crazy thing is, all of this could have been a non-issue if you listen when I have spoken to you or spoken out to you nearly a dozen times, always on deaf ears." Then she says, "Laugh my ass off. To say this could have been a non-issue to shift blame, classic you. We were literally supposed to be putting everything in to be engaged within 18 months. If you weren't getting something from me, you should have been a effing adult and come to me to have conversations if it wasn't going anywhere."
And my response, y'all, I was hot. I was so mad.
To say this could have been, wait, she already showed that. Okay, wait, hold on. So an effing adult to me to have conversations, and if it wasn't going anywhere for you, then you should have ended it rather than stringing me on or stringing me through your sexapade and putting both Liam, their son, and me at risk. That's crazy. Grow the hell up and stop shifting blame. This is 100% you.
This is when what I like to call he was beating me into submission without laying his hands on me. And anybody who has been through this without having like actual physical violence in your relationship knows exactly what I'm talking about. He did not want me to end the relationship, which I know some of you guys are like, wait, it seems like he absolutely hates you. No, the crazy thing is he actually wanted me. I mean, the whole thing, none of this makes sense, right? So prior to all of this happening, probably around the beginning of this year of 2018, I had decided, hey, I might as well make the best of the situation. I've got this house, we've got the farm, we've got interesting and funny things that happen with everybody. So why don't I try to give it a go to create a social media presence and just kind of see how things go. If you go look at my Instagram, you can see some of the stuff I was doing there. We also had another account called The Loving Spoonful. It no longer exists. But yeah, so it was pretty much more of like farm and house stuff. And so every day, in addition to all of the other stuff that I had been doing, I was working on seeing if I could grow kind of an organic business venture, kind of encompassing all that we had going on. Here's what my account was looking like back then.
Y'all, absolutely not. But we all up in her business. Okay. Absolutely not.
So immediately, even remotely while he was at this event, started pausing my devices and told me that Wi-Fi was a privilege.
What?
Here was my computer. I couldn't even edit pictures. So it completely disabled me from being able to progress that in any sort of way. So for the next month or so, I spent the bulk of my time outside. Brokedown Palace had extensive pavers outside, and it allowed Liam to get out and play. And I would just sit and I would pull weeds all day long and just think. And it was a bit of therapy in itself, but it was all I could do to just keep away from myself. So, and this was the other side. So you can see, and it was even worse than what it looked like in this picture, but it was a lot of work and it kept me busy for sure. His behaviors got a lot worse than just turning off the Wi-Fi access. In part 15, I will be going into a list of the truly atrocious behavior he was displaying towards me during this time period. So during this time period of me pulling my weeds, he kept telling me that there was one other person that he had cheated on me with, but was refusing to tell me who for some reason. And this drove me crazy because it was like, why? And so as I was pulling my weeds, I just was ruminating it over and over, like, who on earth could it be? Like, what is this reasoning? Why is he not telling me? And in the next part, I finally find out who.
Oh, man. Who do y'all think it is? You think it's somebody she knew?
Exhausted.
Okay, we on 12. Why don't we make it easy for us to just go to the next one?
There's a goal.
That ain't it. All right, now we got to go back through this. We're on 13. Here we go.
Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 13. So in our last part, he had told me that he had cheated with one other person, but was not. Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 13. So in our last part, he had told me that he had cheated with one other person, but was not wanting to reveal who this person was. And to give a little bit of a recap, remember, I found out about the original cheating on June 25th. So as you can imagine, not knowing who this other person was, like, why is he hiding this? Why can't he reveal who this is? This absolutely ate at me like crazy. Like, that's all I could think of when I was pulling those weeds. It was awful. And it was such like a mental taxing period for me. So on July 14th, after I had put Liam to sleep, he said that he was finally ready to reveal who this mystery person was. Thank God that Brokedown Palace was huge because I had a variety of different bedrooms to be able to sleep in just to stay away from him. So after that text message,
I'm surprised she even trusts what this man says.
I go into his room to find out what the heck. So I get in there, my heart is like in my feet, and he utters the words, "Liam is going to be a big brother." My whole entire world stopped, to say the least. Cheating is one thing.
This is
but
great.
A whole baby, that is like on a completely different level. And I've had some questions about my children with him, and they're like, aren't you worried that they're going to find out about this? They can't ever escape this. They know and will know for the rest of their lives that clearly something happened with dad and he cheated on their mom. So of course I asked, who's this person? And he explained it was an ex that he had dated around 2011, 2012-ish. And they had broken up because one, he had cheated on her with the same girl that he cheated on his ex-wife with and me at the beginning. And two, she works for, or at the time had worked for CAA, which is Creative Artist Agency. And that was also.
You know what's so crazy about this? She could have got out of this. She could have got out of this situation when the ex-wife was trying to say, "Hey sis, this ain't what you think." It's like that meme where your ex moves on and they meet somebody new and they think that that's the love of their life and they have no idea who they just bumped into, who they really just got with. This is crazy.
Also who his agent was through. And apparently, I guess there was something released by CAA around that time that stated that their employees cannot date the talent. She is now the Senior Vice President of Global Music over at UTA. And while I knew who this person was, I've never had conversations with her. We weren't Facebook friends or anything like that. And she's very good friends with a lot of our mutual friends, especially that we went to high school with. There was a private Facebook page for all of the farm goers for the 4th of July party. This person absolutely knew that we weren't Facebook friends or anything at UTA. And while I knew who this person was, I've never had conversations with her. We weren't Facebook friends or anything like that. And she's very good friends with a lot of our mutual friends, especially that we went to high school with. There was a private Facebook page for all of the farm goers for the 4th of July party. This person absolutely knew that we were together. And my oldest son at the time, he asked me, "Mom, did the other lady know about us?" And I was like, "Yeah, honey, she did." And he could not believe that someone could do something like that. And that was a really hard lesson for my kids. I don't know what was said to his kids about all this, but that someone could know about this whole other family and just not give a shit. And I know that this is like probably a controversial take. I know other people are like, that other woman doesn't owe you anything. My opinion on that is the women that didn't know anything about me that he had lied to, I get it. I completely get it. So much. Like, they are a victim in every single way that I am. But people who know and knowingly go after a taken man, I'm sorry, like, while they're not held as responsible, they do hold some responsibility. And this was huge. This is lifelong. This is a baby. To add insult to injury, while I was being told that Liam is now going to be a big brother, she had the nerve to block me on Facebook. She has never since then said that she was sorry. She's never had a conversation with me. And I'm sorry, but I think that is really disgusting behavior.
But baby, I gotta be honest. This man wasn't claiming you. And I know that's harsh. See, I always get accused for being too direct, but it's the truth though. Like, this man was not claiming you publicly. Now, I feel like not like that, not in my opinion. I guess she was starting that Instagram, and she was trying to create like a blog, but she was only doing that because she was trying to assert herself publicly so that she could be seen, so that women would know, and then she would think that those women would have some type of loyalty towards her because she knows that this man don't have that. That's crazy. These women, like, they not, and that's the thing, is like a lot of women are conditioned to think that a woman is going to have the same morals as you, principles as you. Some of these girls don't give a damn. They don't care. And so you have, the only person you could really hold accountable is the man that committed to you, that made these broken promises and didn't live up to the things and the standards that you had in place. That's all you can do.
I don't know what has been said to her. I'm sure that he is trash talking to her. I'm sure that he has made me out to be some weird villain in all this. I mean, I have no clue, but I do think that I have been absolutely owed an apology at a minimum. My next questions for him were, when this happened? And the craziest piece of all, he had gone over to Nashville after our marriage timeline weekend, and he cheated on me during then. Yeah. That's literally discussing a marriage timeline, and we're going to go knock someone else up. So when I asked him next, what was he planning on telling all of these kids? And he explained that he was going to tell them that this baby was conceived by IVF. Apparently, this is one of the shocking things that I found in those text messages. The one with the girl with no name, just a number up top, and he was saying that he wouldn't mind getting her pregnant. He had mentioned that somebody had vials of his sperm and had gone through IVF with him, and apparently this was her. And so that was obviously shocking news, because you would think if somebody was potentially out there with vials of sperm that potentially could have a child, like, that you would tell your partner about this. Like, I mean, like, just this kind of stuff just keeps flooring me. And obviously I told him, I'm like, I am not going to go along with this IVF storyline. I'm not going to cover for you. I'm not going to hide your shit. Like, if the kids ask me, like, I'm not going to cover for you. Like, absolutely not. You're going to own it. We're not doing this. I had also found out that some of these out-of-town trips since then, he had been going to these baby medical appointments. And there was even one where my dad and his wife were in town at my daughter's dance competition. And
I get what you're talking about, Dominique. But what I'm wanting women to highlight, right, is when you get with a man, you are in a relationship with him. You're not married yet, okay? But when you get with that man, your agreement was with him. It's delusional. Like, I believe women are delusional to think that a woman is going to look out for you. The girl's girl thing, that shit ain't real. Women's empowerment, that shit ain't real. Sisterhood, that ain't real. Snap out of it and think that you're out here banking on another woman to have your back because this man that said, hey, I'm committed to you, doesn't have your back. So now you're putting it all on women. And that's that patriarchy bullshit. And like I said, we got to break out of that, right? We got to hold accountable who agreed to be committed to us. The other woman did not agree to that. And it doesn't mean that she has the same principles. And see, this is where the contradiction comes in, right? Because sprinkle, there's a girl out there that's ready to take your man in the name of sprinkle, because there's no rules to that game. Life is not fair. The world that we live in is not fair. So if you really think the next woman gives a damn about your feelings, your kids, and your family, they don't. So the only one you can truly hold accountable is the person that lied to you, which is that man. And that's what I'm saying. Women be trying to be about this life, but then when the shoe is on the other foot, you don't like how that feels. You don't even like how that sounds, but it's the truth. So if you're going to be about the sprinkle life and this woman is in her sprinkle bag because she see this clown, he ain't loyal, but I'm going to get the bag, so let me get impregnated by him so he can pay child support so I can get that check. You really think that's about morals and playing fair and being fair to the next woman? It's not. It's a dirty game. It's a dirty game. So it is what it is. The only person she could truly, in my opinion, be mad at it is this man, honestly. She's expecting loyalty from this woman that probably thinks that she's crazy, if we're being real, because this man lied to her. And again, the loyalty that was supposed to be there, it starts with that man. And the loyalty was not there when he was running to this woman, sleeping with her, probably complaining about her to the ex. So it is weird.
He literally went straight from an appointment to this dance competition, acting like, again, nothing was wrong.
That's crazy.
And this also added a lot of just wildness to all of this, because here he was, you know, in February, he obviously isn't using protection and gets somebody pregnant. In April-ish, he doesn't use protection and catches. And then in June, he's having another unprotected encounter, knowing at that point, he had already gotten someone pregnant. He'd already gotten, like, what? This news absolutely gutted and devastated me. I don't think in my life, I mean, clearly I've been through some shit. I don't think I've ever been that gutted. I couldn't sleep that night. I literally cried the entire next day. I was gutted. This is the worst picture of me, but that next morning I took a picture of myself, and I've never taken a picture of myself crying before. That's not something that I normally.
You see how I be telling you how these men will suck the living force out of you? I just talked about this earlier. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. And what was my message? Sometimes the money ain't worth it, right? Didn't I say that? Yeah, I said that. Yep, I said that. I said that. And listen, when I decided that I was going to react to this, I did not watch this past 3 parts. I said, sometimes the money ain't worth it. This woman looked like she about to have a whole nervous breakdown, about to have a manic episode, and then she got kids dependent on her. No. The money ain't worth it. I'm sorry.
I do, but I wanted to be able, to see my pain and to see a reminder. I never wanted to forget this pain. I realized that might sound a little weird, that I didn't want to forget the pain, but anyone who has dealt with a narcissist knows how manipulative and how awful they can be. And I did not want to get sucked back into this bullshit world. There was also something else that was truly bizarre on this particular day. Both Will and his dad were at the house that day, and which was probably a good thing because Liam's obviously there and they kind of kept him busy while they were dueling around the house doing stuff. But here I am, I'm sobbing hysterically and crying like I'm gutted. Like, I mean, it was like I was mourning. I mean, it was like somebody had just died. Like, and they were just like it was any other day, like no hug. I don't even know if I'd want one, but just no empathy, no kindness, like nothing. And I don't know, to this day, it was the weirdest feeling. In part 14, things take the craziest twist. So stay tuned.
How many more twists are there? We all up in this lady's business.
Who the fuck did I almost marry? NFL edition, part 14.
Oh, wait a minute.
This is the part that I have dreaded to make. And this part requires an amendment.
Hold on, I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on.
Did I almost marry?
Why is it not letting me? Okay, here it is. I'm sorry. I'm like, how did I do it before? Okay.
Part 14. This is the part that I have dreaded to make. And this part requires an immense amount of vulnerability for me. It has induced so much shame. And I never see this topic talked about. And so I am putting myself so out there because I don't want another person who has gone through this to feel as shameful and as alone that I felt during this time period. So please, even if you don't understand it, I know that there's going to be opinions. I know that I'm probably still going to get some rude comments, but please just try to have some understanding. This was a very hard thing to go through. And always remember, there are other women seeing your words that are going through this right now who just need love and support as well.
They need honest. Listen, ladies, I got to be honest with you. Now, no, we're not singling this woman out because listen, I'm taking in the constructive criticism that was given to me earlier, right? And I put the video on Patreon, all right? This ain't because this is a Caucasian woman. Y'all was getting on me, all right? And I'm listening to y'all. But I got to call it what it is sometimes because women, you want people to coddle the hell out of you. And I'm not talking about her right now. When you're in the thick of some bullshit, you want women to coddle what you're going through. And we can't. How can we really help you if you want us to coddle you through something that is causing you so much pain? That's what I want the girls to understand. We are seeing you suffer, but we can't even be real with you about it because you're going to feel attacked. So how can we really help women if you just want us to coddle and enable this situation? And the honesty is to help you get out of it. The honesty isn't to make you feel bad. The honesty isn't to tear you down and make you feel worse about yourself. The honesty is to help you get out of this shit. Seriously. So you can get your sanity back. Because this man put her through a lot. So please keep that in mind when we have these discussions. It's not to attack you. It's not to make you feel worse about yourself or about your mistakes or about your choices. It's truly, if you are sharing these videos online to help women, we have to talk about where you made your mistakes, where you could have made a better choice. Because just like you were in this situation and you were unself-aware, there are other women in a very similar situation who are unself-aware. So how can we make them self-aware? How can we make them more aware of their situation? We have to call out the mistakes that you made. It should not feel like an attack. And if you feel like it's an attack, you're not ready to have your truth out here to truly help women. You're not ready. That's what I've been trying to tell the girls. You're not ready to have it out here because you're not ready to face the hard truths that require us to look into or to highlight to help women that are truly in a similar situation. And if they're unaware, just like you were when you were in the thick of it, because I know what that's like. When you're in the thick of it, you don't really see everything that's going on. You have to come out of it, do some self-reflection, maybe go to therapy for you to really see everything. So if a woman is really in this situation and she's currently in the thick of it, and you're sharing your story online and you're wanting to take offense to us pointing out the errors that you made, how are we really helping women? We're not helping women. We're just listening to another story online. So I just need women to understand that. Like, come on, give us some breathing room. Seriously.
Sorry, I'm going to try to make it through this one. So being told that there was a baby on the way was, again, just absolutely devastating on all levels. And after that initial round of cheating I discovered back in June, I was absolutely done, like completely done. And even like the first day or two after I found out about the baby, like I was so done. But the weirdest thing began to happen probably around day 2 or 3. I began to feel these uncontrollable urges to be close to him and to be near him and to get comfort from him. And it's so weird because like I know that this guy is awful and I know he's a complete just sack of shit. Like this was like this overwhelming urge. And I don't know for me if
it could be her childhood trauma. If you've ever gone through any type of abandonment in your life, whether it's physical or it's emotional, you probably struggle with codependency. Yes, I was just about to say that. So it could be the Stockholm syndrome, but I really think this is like codependency. That's what I really think it is. Because if you've ever dealt with any type of abandonment, you're going to struggle with being codependent. Okay. And you may crawl back, you may cuddle up with someone that is abusing you because you struggle with codependency. So actually, I know exactly what she's talking about, how she feels. And yeah, it's very hard to explain when you want to go to the person and be consoled by the person that is abusing you. And it's most likely because of your childhood trauma. Like you have dealt with some type of abandonment issue. So she was seeking out that comfort from the abuser because she wanted to be comforted. Okay. She was starting to feel that abandonment, and it could have triggered something in her, maybe from her childhood or past trauma. Okay. I've seen this a lot with women who have gone through something like that, including myself. So no judgment over here. I actually understand exactly what she's getting at. And it's weird. It's weird. It's confusing too. It's confusing because they're the last person that you should be wanting to get comfort from, you know? But if you've ever dealt with abandonment, you struggle with codependency from your abuser.
Being told it was a baby, that it was like this like deep, like primal animalistic urge to like guard my family. I don't know. But it was literally like temporary insanity. And anybody who's been through this knows what I'm talking about. And so I literally felt just like absolutely crazy. And so I started Googling because I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, this can't be normal. This can't be like what? And I discovered it has a name, and it's called hysterical bonding. And these articles have talked about how common this is, and it's a very common phenomenon that when people have found out that they've been cheated on, that they suddenly crave this closeness with the person who wronged them. And like, while it made me feel a little bit better that it was common, like it still induced so much shame. Okay, sorry guys, I'm trying to keep this together. This was really like the ultimate mindfuck. I don't know what else to call it, but because while I'm feeling these like,
I feel like she called it hysterical bonding. Y'all, I believe this is true because we all watched the movie Baby Boy with Yvette, and she kept going back to Jody, and it never made sense. It never made sense. She wanted to be close to him. Like, we've seen this. Black women have done this. So this ain't just a Tory thing. Like, women, it doesn't matter what race, you've gone through something like that. You broke up with that ex, right? But then you found yourself back in your ex's bed. Or you distance yourself from that friend, right? But then you started missing them because you missed the bond or you missed the conversation. It happens in every relationship. Like, it really does. Especially when you've shared feelings and emotions. And yes, we can agree. How could you want someone like this that put you through all of this? Like, he made you an event planner, a real estate agent, a zookeeper, a farmer, a cleaner, a sex worker, a maid, a nanny, a surrogate, a chef, a contract. Like, how could you want to be with that person? But y'all, this happens to people all the time. And this is why I have a book in my Amazon storefront. It's about detachment. And women need to learn more about detachment. So then you're not in these weird spaces in certain relationships where you're wanting them, you know, you're missing them, right? Because it takes a level of discipline to fight that urge to reach out, to want to be around them. Okay? So, hey, It's hard, but it's like, listen, I know plenty of women that have done this. It could have been a sneaky link, friends with benefits, an ex, even Erica Mena, like she was sleeping with Safari after the divorce. Listen, a lot of women have done this. She's not the first.
Uncontrollable urges to be close to him.
True.
His behaviors were so atrocious towards me. And thankfully, I had my therapist, and she was holding my hand through this. And I'm glad that I had somebody to talk to about this, because, again, this was really shame-inducing.
Okay, well, we'll make this the last one, because then I'll take the videos down and make sure I turn the volume up for part 2.
And embarrassing. I didn't want to tell my family and friends about this. Like, it was hard to deal with. And so she encouraged me to start writing down all of these behaviors. And it was literally the best advice that I was given, because I literally started reading these over and over and over again all day long, just like hoping like I would snap out of this. So if you have gone through this, I'm with you. I believe you. You're not crazy. You didn't deserve what happened to you, just like I didn't deserve this either. And I hope by me openly discussing this, that some more conversations can be had about it. And I'm hoping that other people won't feel so alone, or feel that shame, or feel that embarrassing for feeling these things that they have no control over, because it's really hard. And I'm sorry for anyone else who's gone through this, because it's like its own personal hell. During this time period, I ended up having sex with him, which again, it makes me feel ashamed, because I mean, he did not deserve me in any capacity during that time. And I was left with a lot of shame and embarrassment that I had even done that. And I'll explain this more in the next part. And so I'd sit there and I'd read through this list, and I'd read and read and read. And luckily I snapped out of it and I ended things. And then I realized my period was late.
Oh, hell.
Yeah. So
damn.
I was not pregnant.
And you know what? I believe he did that on purpose, y'all. I swear. You know, it's crazy, because the same thing happened to Erica Mena. First of all, to the girls, if to the women that may be going through something like this, I really advise you read this book. It really helps me. It's called Attached. Okay? Please read this book. You got to read it, okay? That's number one. Number two, okay, we're going to talk about what she had control over, the power that she had within herself. Okay, why are we highlighting that? We're highlighting that because I need women to understand that you have power in these situations. You're not defenseless. You're not 100% helpless. You can walk away. Now, will it take mental strength? Yes. Will it take not knowing what's next? Yes. Will it take you leaving behind a future that you are now having to grieve? Yes. You will also have to grieve the person that you're leaving. Okay. But we have to start highlighting the accountability in these stories, because I need women to see the power in themselves when they are in these situations. Because a lot of women, like, I've been in these situations, you feel helpless. You feel like tied to them. Like, it's almost like you're like, you should leave, but why are your feet not moving? You should leave, but why are you not planning? You should leave, but why are you not getting the urge to get up and actually walk away? And it's because you are attached, and you need to acknowledge that. And you're struggling with detaching from this person because this person is hurting you, abusing you, using you, and taking advantage of you. And there were so many times in this situation where she could have said, enough is enough, I'm leaving this behind. But she chose to stay, and for obvious reasons. She's dealing with the narcs are all about putting blame on you, right? So then you're dealing with the psychological abuse of maybe doubting yourself about why you should leave. Maybe he's right. Maybe it is my fault. You start to think like that, and you have to overpower those thoughts because you're not being treated fairly. You're not being treated with respect. And this man has been stringing you on for a very long time, and it's the same old thing with him. And you have to ask yourself, are you fed up? Are you really ready to move on and really like elevate and start over and start a new life and be in a healthier place? So, and then another thing too, a lot of women, when we are in these situations, we find ourselves isolated away from friends and family. So then this relationship has completely taken us away from our family and our friends. So then we feel really helpless because we don't even have a support system. The only support system we have is this person that is psychologically abusing us, financially abusing us, and then also just playing these mind games, and how that can create like what is it called when you have like a foggy mind, fog brain, or it's like when your brain, like you can't even think straight. You can't really think clearly, and you really have to get away from that person. Is there a soul tie involved in this? Yeah. Brain fog. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. So I think what women, when we have these conversations, these things are simply to make yourself aware of these things so you can empower yourself to overcome these things, because this is what is holding you back, and this is what is holding you in the situation. Okay. I'm glad that she mentioned when she was going through all of this, she had a therapist that was helping her through this. And sometimes you may need a therapist to help you through your toxic relationship, to help you actually leave your toxic relationship. You may need that. You may need to go to your therapist to get the courage to leave so you can get some clarity, because you may be experiencing brain fog. Okay. So that's all I'm going to say. We'll be back for part 15. I'm going to go ahead and leave it right here. And that's all I'm going to say, y'all, for now. It's a lot. So I'll catch you in my next one. Please give this video a thumbs up, and we'll be back for part 2. Part 2 will be Wednesday. Okay. We'll be back for part 2 on Wednesday. All right. You enjoy the rest of your night.